The individual you simply cannot stop thinking about genuinely does care about you. Even if everything between you feels completely uncertain, complicated, or difficult to understand right now, there is a profound reason this person keeps returning to your thoughts over and over again. It is not accidental, it is not random. It is not happening merely because you are bored, lonely, or emotionally vulnerable at this moment. Let that sink in for a second. Something meaningful continues to keep this connection alive within your inner world and everyday emotions. This person appears in your mind for a genuine reason. Even when you make no effort to think about them, they arrive during quiet moments when the noise of daily life fades away and your mind finally becomes still. They appear in the small spaces between your usual thoughts. They show up in those moments just before sleep when your defenses are lowered completely. Sometimes they enter your mind without warning during the middle of an ordinary day while you are simply going about your routine. You could be focused on work, speaking with someone, enjoying time with friends, or feeling perfectly at peace, and suddenly their face appears in your mind without invitation. Their voice, their smile, or a meaningful memory connected to them rises within you effortlessly. It happens naturally and quietly on its own. You may have tried countless times to push these thoughts aside. You may have told yourself firmly that it is time to move forward and that continuing to think about them serves no useful purpose anymore. You may have reminded yourself repeatedly of the confusion, the separation, or the long silence that exists between the two of you. At times, you may have questioned yourself deeply. You may have wondered whether you are imagining something that is not truly there, or holding on to hope without any real foundation. You may have asked yourself why they still matter so much when nothing appears clear or resolved between you. Yet regardless of how hard you try to distract yourself with other things, they continue returning to your thoughts. Even when you tell yourself you are completely finished with it all, even when you feel strong and certain for a period of time, they remain quietly present somewhere inside you. This is not a coincidence, nor is it a sign that something is wrong with you. It does not mean you are trapped in the past, desperate for attention, or incapable of moving forward. It simply means there is a connection that has not been fully resolved within your shared story. It means some emotional truth still exists between you, whether it has been spoken openly or not. Connections like this are not created through logic alone. They are not managed entirely through willpower, no matter how determined someone may be. They are formed on a deeper level where emotion, memory, meaning, and experience blend together over time. When someone continues to appear in your thoughts without effort, it often suggests that unfinished emotional energy still exists between both of you. Something was felt deeply, even if it was never completely expressed through words. Something was shared between you, even if it was never clearly defined or properly labeled. Stick with me here, because understanding this will change everything about how you view their silence. This person may be thinking about you too, even if they do not reach out or openly express their feelings right now. Thoughts do not always travel through conversations or messages. Feelings do not always reveal themselves through obvious actions. Sometimes people carry emotions quietly because they are unsure what to do with them. They may feel overwhelmed, uncertain, cautious, or afraid of what the future might bring. They may not know exactly how to act on what they feel, so they keep those emotions hidden for the time being. But silence does not automatically mean the absence of care. Just because they remain quiet does not mean they feel nothing toward you. You may sense them at unexpected moments throughout your day or night. You may suddenly feel a wave of longing, warmth, sadness, or emotion without fully understanding where it came from. You may feel connected to them despite the emotional or physical distance that separates you. This is not always your imagination playing tricks on you. Strong emotional connections often operate beneath the surface in ways that are difficult to explain. They do not always follow predictable rules or expected timelines. They exist quietly while continuing to influence thoughts and emotions in subtle ways. You are not weak for feeling this way. You are simply human. Caring deeply does not disappear just because your mind decides it should. The heart rarely moves on according to a schedule created by logic. When something meaningful touches your life, it leaves an imprint within you. That imprint remains until it has been understood, healed, accepted, or transformed through time. This connection does not mean you should wait forever or place your own growth on hold. It simply means what you felt between the two of you was genuine. It means the bond mattered. Confusion does not erase love. Silence does not erase emotion. Distance does not automatically mean there is no feeling on the other side. Sometimes distance reflects fear. Sometimes it reflects uncertainty. Sometimes it reflects an internal struggle that another person is facing privately. You may never receive every answer you seek, or one day those answers may arrive unexpectedly. Regardless of what happens, your experience remains valid. The thoughts you carry are not meaningless. The emotions you feel are not pointless. They are part of a story that touched your heart deeply and changed something within you. If this person continues to live in your thoughts, it may be because something between you has not fully settled yet. That does not mean it must continue forever in the same form. It simply means it mattered more than you realize, and things that truly matter often require time before they rest peacefully within the heart. Be gentle with yourself during this season. Do not judge your thoughts harshly. Do not rush your emotions to disappear. Understanding often arrives slowly. Clarity often unfolds naturally through patience. And sometimes the purpose of a connection is not to last forever. Sometimes its purpose is to transform you, teach you valuable lessons, and remind you how deeply you are capable of feeling. Even in confusion and silence, that connection can still carry meaning for both people involved. When someone occupies your thoughts this consistently over a long period of time, it often suggests that the emotional cord between you remains active, even if communication has ended, even if circumstances created separation, even if the silence has lasted far longer than either of you expected. Your mind is not necessarily holding on to the past without reason. Your heart may be responding to something that still feels unfinished. There is something within the story that never reached a clear conclusion. Human beings are rarely troubled by what is complete. We are affected most deeply by what feels unresolved, uncertain, or emotionally unfinished. You may notice that you think about them whenever something positive happens in your life. When you experience a success, a beautiful moment, or something that makes you smile, they may be the first person who comes to mind. You imagine sharing those small details with them. The details may seem insignificant on the surface, yet they feel meaningful inside. You wonder how they're doing even when your own life is busy and full. If you've ever felt this sudden wave of connection out of nowhere, drop a comment below because you are definitely not alone in this. Sometimes the pull you feel is not only toward their presence, it is toward their emotional world, their thoughts, their energy, their inner experience. This kind of pull can occur when two people remain emotionally connected despite distance and silence. What many people fail to realize is that emotional bonds do not disappear simply because communication stops. Silence does not erase connection. Distance does not erase attachment that was built over time. When two people connect deeply, that bond leaves an imprint on the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind does not operate according to strict timelines. It responds to meaning, emotion, memory, and unresolved experiences. If you are still thinking about them, it may be because a part of you senses that the story is not completely finished. This also explains why the connection feels so complicated. Love that is simple often settles into clarity. Love that feels delayed, distant, or confusing often exists somewhere between desire and fear. One or both of you may fear vulnerability. One or both of you may fear change. There may be concern about repeating old wounds. There may be hesitation about wanting something that feels uncertain. Fear does not always destroy love. Sometimes it simply postpones it. Sometimes it creates distance where closeness wants to exist. Sometimes it causes people to stay silent even when their heart wishes to speak. And while fear can delay action, it cannot always erase what is felt deep within. That is why certain connections continue to linger long after logic says they should have faded away. They remain because they carried significance. They remain because they touched something important within both people. And until that meaning is fully understood, acknowledged, or completed, the connection may continue finding its way back into your thoughts when you least expect it. It conceals those feelings for a while and creates distance where closeness is deeply wanted but still feels uncertain or risky. You may find yourself wondering why, if they truly love you, they have not taken action yet or reached out in a direct and obvious way. You may question why they have remained silent for such a long period without offering an explanation. Love does not always travel in a straight path or follow the route people expect it to take. Many individuals feel deeply but struggle to understand exactly how to respond to those powerful emotions inside them. Some people protect their emotions because of painful experiences from the past. Others carry scars from previous relationships that still influence how they think and behave. Some find themselves caught between responsibility and desire within their current circumstances. Some feel unworthy of receiving the love they feel, while others believe they must heal or improve themselves before allowing true closeness into their lives again. The mind often circles back to what the heart cannot easily settle. That is why this person appears in your thoughts when you are peaceful, quiet, or emotionally open without distractions surrounding you. At night, when the noise of the world fades away, the unconscious mind often speaks more clearly than it does during busy hours. During the day, when your defenses are lowered and your attention relaxes, the same thing can happen naturally. This is not you forcing thoughts into your mind. They rise on their own from deeper emotional places within you. That is an important thing to remember. Thoughts that arrive without invitation often emerge from deeper emotional layers beneath the surface. There is something else happening as well. When these memories return and you think about them, you are not only remembering who they are as a person, you are also remembering who you were when you felt connected to them in meaningful ways. Certain people awaken parts of us that remained quiet or hidden around others. They reflect something back to us that feels familiar, important, and alive. Losing access to that reflection can sometimes feel like losing a piece of yourself for a while. This is one reason the longing can feel much deeper than simple attraction. Distance between two people who genuinely care for one another often exists, not because love is absent, but because timing, fear, circumstances, or inner conflict are standing in the way. You may feel as though something unseen is preventing both of you from moving closer together. That feeling is often worth paying attention to. When emotions remain active without a clear resolution, the psyche tends to keep the connection alive until it reaches understanding, acceptance, or closure. You may also experience periods of emotional uncertainty. One day you feel completely detached and strong, and the next day a small reminder suddenly brings everything rushing back again. This movement back and forth is normal. It is part of the emotional process. It often means your conscious mind is attempting to protect you while your emotional self remains connected underneath. Those two parts of you do not always move in perfect agreement. Healing does not require forcing yourself to erase every memory. Healing often means understanding why the connection exists and what it is trying to teach you right now. Sometimes a connection remains because there is an important lesson hidden within it. Sometimes it remains because communication between two people feels unfinished, and sometimes it remains because both individuals are slowly moving toward the same emotional truth, even if they are not ready at the same moment. Emotional timing is rarely perfectly synchronized. If you feel that they love you but continue to remain distant, it may be because they are facing an internal battle of their own. They may feel the same pull toward you that you feel toward them. They may think about you more often than you realize. They may wonder whether you still care deeply for them as well. Yet, instead of stepping closer immediately, they hesitate. There can be many reasons for that hesitation. Often, it grows from fear of loss, fear of rejection, or fear of changing their current circumstances too quickly. Love does not always announce itself through grand gestures and dramatic actions. Sometimes it hides behind silence. Sometimes it lives behind careful choices and cautious steps. Sometimes it waits quietly for a moment that feels safer. Sometimes it watches from a distance, hoping for the right opportunity to move forward without causing harm. A lack of action does not always mean a lack of feeling. What matters most right now is not trying to control every possible outcome. What matters is understanding what this connection may be revealing about you and your own journey. Perhaps it is teaching patience. Perhaps it is helping you strengthen your sense of self-worth. Perhaps it is encouraging you to trust more and chase less. Or perhaps it is preparing you to receive clarity when the timing is finally right. Whether that clarity arrives through reunion or through peaceful release, your feelings are not foolish. You are not weak because this person often enters your thoughts. You are responding to something that exists beyond simple logic and easy explanations. The mind tries to explain everything through reason. The heart often recognizes significance immediately. When something truly matters, it rarely disappears quickly. If they love you and distance remains for now, then time and personal growth may be doing important work behind the scenes for both of you. Connections like this often move slowly because they carry genuine depth, and depth requires readiness. Readiness cannot be rushed no matter how much we wish it could. Allow the thoughts to come and go without judging yourself harshly. Do not force extra meaning into every thought, but do not dismiss them immediately either. Notice how you feel when they appear in your mind. Perhaps you feel calm. Perhaps you feel warmth. Perhaps you feel sadness, longing, comfort, or hope. Every emotion contains information worth noticing. Your feelings are communicating something important to you in those moments. Remember this truth. What is truly meant for you should not require endless suffering. It may require patience, it may require growth, but it should not require you to abandon yourself or neglect your own needs. Whether this connection eventually becomes something tangible or gradually fades with time, it is shaping you in ways you may not yet fully understand. And if one day the distance closes naturally, it will likely happen because both of you have become ready to meet without fear standing between you. Until then, trust that what you are experiencing carries meaning, even if that meaning is not completely clear yet. When you think about someone repeatedly, when their presence remains in your thoughts from morning until night, there is often a quiet connection operating beneath the surface of everyday life. Many times they may be thinking about you as well, even if they never say it aloud or fully acknowledge it to themselves. They may care about you deeply, even if those words have never been spoken directly between you. Love does not always reveal itself in ways that are easy to recognize. It does not always arrive through immediate action, bold declarations, or confident decisions. Sometimes love reveals itself through patience. Sometimes it appears through waiting. Sometimes it expresses itself through restraint because something valuable feels worth protecting. The person you cannot stop thinking about may carry powerful feelings for you. Those emotions may be constant, deep, and significant within them. But feeling love and being ready to act on it are not always the same thing. Readiness and love do not always arrive together. Someone can care for you with all their heart, and still feel unable to move closer right now. They may feel unworthy of you. They may believe you are too kind, too complete, or too good for them in their current state. They may fear hurting you because they understand how precious the connection feels. They may believe the timing is not right. They may feel life is too complicated at the moment. They may think circumstances are not aligned in a way that supports moving forward. They may also be carrying old emotional wounds that have never completely healed. Pain from past relationships, disappointments, betrayals, heartbreaks, or losses can remain hidden inside for years. Those experiences influence choices even when people wish they did not. They may fear that moving closer could eventually lead to losing you completely. Because of that fear, they pause. Instead of reaching forward openly, they hold themselves back. Instead of expressing everything they feel, they keep much of it inside. This does not always happen because they feel too little. Sometimes it happens because they feel too much. The intensity of the emotion overwhelms them. When feelings are shallow, people often act quickly without much thought. When feelings are light, risks seem easier to take, but when love feels genuine and reaches deep into the heart, people become more cautious. They begin thinking carefully about every choice. Fear starts whispering questions into their mind. It influences decisions in subtle ways. When love is casual, people move freely without much concern. They send messages without overthinking. They speak without worrying about consequences. They step forward without imagining every possible outcome. But when love feels truly meaningful, when it feels capable of changing everything important in life, people naturally slow down. They become careful with their words. They become thoughtful with their actions. They begin measuring each step because the connection feels too valuable to risk carelessly. And in many cases, that caution is not proof that love is absent. It is proof that what they feel matters more deeply than they know how to express. They become increasingly aware of what is truly at stake within the connection. They begin thinking more deeply about responsibility, impact, and the possible consequences if things are not handled carefully and with maturity. They start protecting not only themselves but also the person they care about so deeply. Many people wonder why distance can continue to exist even when love feels present and powerful. That distance is not always created by a lack of emotion, affection, or genuine care. More often, it is created by an internal struggle taking place inside them. On one side of their heart, they feel your presence strongly. They sense your importance, your energy, and the role you hold in their life. On the other side, they feel pressure, fear, responsibility, uncertainty, and doubt pulling them in different directions. These opposing forces create tension within them. They may find themselves asking difficult questions repeatedly about what the future could bring. What if I cannot give them the life they truly deserve? What if I disappoint them in some way? What if I damage something beautiful that exists between us? What if I have not healed enough yet to move forward in a healthy way? What if my unresolved past follows me into this connection? What if getting closer creates more complications instead of bringing peace? What if my emotions become too overwhelming to manage? What if my fears eventually cause me to lose them completely? These questions do not arise from indifference. They do not come from a lack of care. They come from caring deeply and understanding that real love carries weight, responsibility, and consequences. Because of this, they choose distance as a form of protection for now. Not protection from you personally, but protection from emotions that feel overwhelming and difficult to manage. They step back not because they do not want you. They step back because they are startled by how much they truly want you. Sometimes distance becomes the only tool they know for handling feelings that feel larger than their ability to manage comfortably. They may never have learned how to love without allowing fear to take control. They may not fully trust themselves with something that feels this important. They may convince themselves that remaining silent, is safer than speaking openly and risking everything. For many people, silence feels easier than vulnerability. Distance feels safer than complete closeness when emotions become intense. This type of love can be deeply confusing for the person waiting on the other side. It can make you question your own feelings. It can make you wonder whether the connection is genuine or something your mind has created. Yet, genuine love does not always reveal itself in smooth and predictable ways. Sometimes it appears uncertain, hesitant, and afraid of moving too quickly. Sometimes it hides behind logic and practical explanations. Sometimes it chooses patience over immediate action to avoid creating regret later. The person who cares deeply but remains distant often feels torn inside every single day. They think about you when they wake in the morning. They think about you before they fall asleep. Your name crosses their thoughts during unexpected moments throughout the day. They revisit old conversations in their mind. They imagine possibilities between the two of you. Then fear appears again and pulls them back into caution. This constant movement between hope and hesitation can become exhausting for them even if you never witness the struggle directly. They may believe they need to repair parts of themselves before offering love fully. They may feel they need to become stronger, more stable, or more emotionally secure first. They may believe you deserve someone who is completely ready for a healthy and lasting relationship. Because of that belief, they step aside. They hope distance will protect both of you from pain, yet love that is restrained does not simply disappear. It remains alive beneath the surface. It continues growing quietly. It waits for better circumstances, and even in silence, it continues to exist. Even through separation, it remains meaningful. Love does not always appear as constant pursuit, daily communication, or obvious action. Sometimes it appears as restraint. Sometimes it appears as careful waiting. Sometimes it appears as someone battling their fears every day while still carrying you within their heart. If you feel this connection deeply, it does not automatically mean your imagination is creating something false. Strong emotional bonds often exist through memories, thoughts, intuition, and the lasting impact people leave on one another. What feels painful right now may not always reflect an absence of love. Sometimes it reflects a gap between what someone feels and what they currently feel capable of expressing. Their inner courage has not yet matched the depth of what exists inside their heart. With time, internal conflicts can begin to soften. Fear can slowly lose its influence. Old wounds can gradually heal. As growth takes place, the space between two people may begin to close naturally and in its own way. Until then, distance can function like a quiet shield. It becomes a temporary pause, a chance to breathe, a way to maintain emotional balance when caring deeply feels overwhelming for you. However, that distance may feel especially heavy. It can feel sharp and difficult because you are highly aware of emotional shifts. You do not experience silence as empty space. You feel it in your thoughts. You feel it in your heart. You feel it during those recurring moments when your mind returns to the same person without effort. You notice the exact moment comfort becomes caution. You notice when warmth becomes uncertainty. You recognize subtle emotional changes that many people overlook. Yet some of the strongest connections move through long periods of silence, not because they are broken. If this video resonated with you, hit that subscribe button right now because we explore deep insights like this every single week.